What's up, math fans? I'm doing this video during quarantine of 2020 because I'm hoping you're still at home and you're still doing work and you're still curious to learn about new math topics. Today's math topic is called the sum and difference of two cubes and perfect cubes, of course, so you have to know what your perfect cubes are. I'll go through that in a second. And I want to relate it to some prior knowledge, what I used to call dots. This is from factoring in both Algebra 1 and Algebra 2. So before I get started, I want to thank the essential workers that are out there that are risking their health to help society. Yes, teachers are still doing work, but I feel like we're doing it safely, and a lot of people have to go out there, the doctors, the nurses, the food service, so I really do appreciate that, and I'm doing my part as well. Okay, back to work. So back in factoring in algebra, you used to factor a difference of two squares, which means you had to memorize all your perfect squares and then know what to do with it. Hopefully you can just look at this thing and recognize difference means subtraction and something is squared and something else is squared. People complain, oh, I'm always using letters. Letters are placeholders, so when you see numbers, you still follow the same procedure. Back in the day, or whenever you first learned this, you learned that that is the product of conjugates, a plus b times a minus b. If you haven't seen it in terms of a and b, maybe you saw x and a number like, I don't know, x squared minus 25. You remember how to factor that? It's x plus 5 times x minus 5. The reason I know that is because I know that this is a perfect square. It is x, it is the letter x squared. And I know that 25 is a perfect square. It is the number 5 squared. So I used these two terms and I put them here and here. Basically, I take my first term x and I put it as my first term in each binomial, and my second term 5, put it in my second term of each binomial. One gets a plus, one gets a minus. We use the word conjugate for that. If you're not sure, all this fancy vocabulary, just multiply to get your answer. When I say multiply, I mean multiply these two binomials, and you might have used the word FOIL, not really a word, an acronym FOIL, first, outer, inner, last. So when you multiply that, you get x squared plus, minus 5x. Now inner is 5 times x again, but this is time positive, so plus 5x, and then 5 times negative 5 is negative 25. You'll notice those cancel out, you get x squared minus 25, which was the original question, so you know you're right. Take that extra 15 seconds and do the check if you're ever not sure. If you can memorize a procedure or if you can memorize a formula, that's great. So here are two formulas that you can attempt to memorize, or you can always check your work and procedures a little bit longer. It's up to you. If you're gonna memorize it, you gotta memorize it in a new acronym, SOAP, S-O-A-P. Reason this acronym helps is when you are factoring a difference of two cubes, it's gonna look like this, okay? And the SOAP helps you remember what signs to put where. So since you started with a minus sign, that first binomial gets the same sign, also minus, same, S for same. The next sign is the opposite sign, a plus sign, always for opposite, and then always plus or always positive is that last sign, okay? So SOAP helps you remember the signs. You still gotta remember the terms. This thing actually jogs my memory because I remember it from when I did something like a plus b squared. That's a binomial squared. Your answer, if you do FOIL, a plus b times another a plus b, you're going to get a squared plus 2ab plus b squared. So I remember this from Algebra 1, so it kind of, my brain accepts this a little bit better. It's not brand new to you, okay? But that was all review. Now for the new stuff. Instead of looking at a difference of two squares, what if you saw a difference of two cubes? So the first thing you have to realize is you're looking at a difference, means there's a minus sign. You're looking at two cubes. How do I know? Because I'm comfortable with perfect cubes. X cubed is literally x to the third power. And 125, you have to understand, is 5 to the third power. You can check the calculator if you're not sure. Okay? So when my formula, I use a and b, so I now understand that this is my A is the letter X, and my B is the number 5. So now I'm just filling in placeholders, place values. Okay, I'm going to use this answer as my answer. So my answer in factored form is a minus b. How do I know that? Because I remember SOAP, same sign. So I need an x here, minus 5, times a squared is going to be x squared minus, not minus, so opposite is plus what? AB, so I'm multiplying x times 5, give me 5x, and then this is always positive, so that's easy. 5 squared, also known as 25. You can write it as 5 squared, it's probably better to write it as 25, okay? Then you go look here and use your Algebra 1 skills and attempt to factor it if you can. If you can't, you leave it, here's your answer. You don't trust it, then we're gonna do the distributive property and make sure. I'll leave that on you to do because that's a little bit time consuming. It might take a whole 45 seconds to do. You're gonna multiply 3 times, you're gonna multiply another 3 times, you're gonna combine like terms, and enough things will cancel out that it brings you back to this difference of 2 cubes. But guess what? The sum of 2 cubes also exists and it's also factorable the same way. So I'm going to remember SOAP. I'm going to remember that my A, don't get tricked here. A this time is not 8x because it's not 8x to the third. It's actually 2x. This is 2x being raised to the third power just because 2 to the third gives you 8. Okay, so this is really 2x to the third plus, what is this? 27 is also a perfect cube. It's 3y to the third. Okay, so my A is 2x and my B is 3y. If you can recognize that, then that's your answer. There's no more math to do. So this is going to give me 2x. So same is plus 3y times 2x squared is actually 4x squared. Okay, that comes from 2x squared. And 2x times 2x is 4x squared. What is it now? So opposite. So I need the opposite sign, which is a minus sign. And then b. Okay? AB, right? Check here if you're never not sure. AB, minus AB. So minus 2x times 3y is 6xy, always plus, and b to the second power. Well, what was my b? It was 3y, so 3y, the second power, 3y times 3y is 9y squared, and there is your answer, okay? You can attempt to factor this, but I'm going to leave it like that, and again, if you're not sure, we're going to use the distributive property, combine like terms, and we'll bring you right back to there. So if you got bored with difference of 2 squares, now you got yourself difference of 2 cubes and also sum of 2 cubes. Any questions, please put them in the comments. I will get back to you as soon as possible. Stay healthy. See ya.